Right now, from sunny skies to showers, a change is happening here in Wisconsin, but it shouldn't rain on all of your day plans. Chris is tracking our storm chances heading into the work week. It's almost the start of a new school year, and this morning we're talking about 3 things you can start doing today to set your student up for success. Plus, calling for common sense as people in Dayton and El Paso continue to bury the dozens of people killed in multiple mass shootings last weekend. We hear from voters and the reforms they want to see.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm Christina Laurie with meteorologist Chris Reese. It's already August 11th, and it's going to be a great day.
It will be a great day. You know, I'm surprised I woke up this morning because the thunderstorms that came through last night.
I'm glad you woke up.
I'm glad I woke up. Yes, I'm glad I'm here. But the storms, oh my gosh.
I have to be honest, I didn't hear them at all.
That's okay. That means you were deep in sleep, which is exactly what the storms are doing for a lot of folks. We had a complex of showers and thunderstorms move through overnight, folks. If you are up and have not looked outside, yes, things are fairly damp out there. Here's where a lot of the shower and thunderstorm activity is right now. It's trying to move on out of the area, but notice throughout Madison towards Janesville and then over towards Lake Geneva, there's still some areas where we do still have at least some water falling out of the sky. Here's Doppler track over the past couple of hours, and then I'm going to put on future track just to kind of show you how I think this is going to behave as we go through the next 3 hours or so. A lot of the showers will begin to move south, but we'll still see some lingering showers north of the border here in Wisconsin, and I think we're going to keep that lingering shower chance around going through most of your morning and perhaps into the early afternoon. Temperatures, though, are mild from the cloud cover. 66 in Madison right now. Janesville at 64. Kenosha and Milwaukee are both into the low 70s, and the dew points are into the low 60s as well. So the moisture certainly being felt and recognized here in the atmosphere. Those winds out of the south at 11 miles per hour. As you plan the day again, those isolated chances for showers will stick around. I do think we'll begin to see some clearing with some peaks of sun by the time we get you towards the afternoon, with highs right around 80. But of course, even though we have the showers and thunderstorms overnight, our primary focus is on the heavy rain potential for tomorrow.
And rain to start the day isn't so bad. It's kind of a slow way to ease into your Sunday.
It really is, and I still think people will be able to have plenty of dry hours this afternoon to get out and do whatever they please.
Eat outside. Eat dinner outside.
Do it.
Thanks so much, Chris.
My pleasure.
Well, new this morning, funeral masses will continue both today and tomorrow for the victims of the Dayton shooting, which happened 1 week ago today. In all, 9 people were killed in that shooting only hours after another gunman killed 22 people in El Paso, Texas. Saturday afternoon, friends, family, and strangers gathered to honor Derek Fudge, the oldest of the 9 victims in Dayton. Derek was 57 years old when he died in the arms of his son after a gunman started shooting outside a downtown bar. Now his sister wants to make sure people remember Derek for everything he was.
Make no mistake about it. We came in here to celebrate his life. Hallelujah. He did not live a very complicated life. He lived a simple life, but he loved the life that he lived.
The man who killed Derek was killed by police less than 30 seconds after he started shooting. Meanwhile, in Mexico, masses are being dedicated this weekend in honor of the 6 Mexicans killed in the El Paso shooting after a gunman opened fire at a Walmart store last Saturday, killing 22 people in total. People from the town of Ciudad Juarez, just across the border, pledged to remain united and strong and prayed to act even more in favor of unity, of respect, of coexistence, and of mutual acceptance. The El Paso gunman surrendered to police and confessed he was targeting Mexicans in that shooting. More than 1,100 miles away, more than a dozen presidential hopefuls who are spending the weekend campaigning in Iowa are calling for changes to the country's gun laws in the wake of last weekend's shootings. Democratic candidates mostly agree there's a need for universal background checks and an assault weapons ban. A recent CBS News Battleground Tracker poll shows more than half of Iowa's Democratic voters say they must hear a candidate's position on gun control policy before deciding who they will support.
Background checks, no mental illness. I mean, come on. That's not a big ask at all. And I completely support that.
I'd like to keep my shotgun. On the other hand, the AK-47s and the AR-15s I don't think it's a place for them in America.
Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate will consider new gun control laws when Congress reconvenes in September. President Donald Trump says he wants Congress to pass background checks. More local news now. Police are investigating after a man with a knife in his backpack threatened to kill a Madison gas and electric worker. Chief Mike Koval says MG&E workers at North Baldwin Street and East Johnson Street called after 2 o'clock Saturday morning to report a drunken 26-year-old man. They said the man was bothering them and interfering with their work and even threatened to kill one of the workers. Police say they found the knife in the man's backpack while searching him and arrested him on suspicion of disorderly conduct and carrying a concealed knife. Madison police are still looking for the armed person who shot a bullet into a Madison home early Saturday morning. Several neighbors called local police just after 4 o'clock in the morning to report hearing shots fired around the area of Northport Drive and Morrow Court. Officers say they talked to a 19-year-old woman in the 500 block of Northport Drive who said the bullet ended up lodged in her bathroom closet. Police also found shell casings outside her home. And earlier this week, a woman was grazed by a bullet while sitting inside her apartment, also on Madison's north side. A judge has rejected Stephen Avery's request for a new trial. Avery's 2005 killing of photographer Teresa Halbach was featured in the Netflix series Making a Murderer. Halbach's remains were found in the Avery family's salvage yard. Avery argued the state turned over bones to the family without notifying the defense, but the judge ruled that does not mean Avery should get a new trial. The bones were given to Halbach's family back in 2011, but Avery's attorneys were not notified until last year. Avery's attorney tweeted that an appeal is likely. If you missed last month's Summer Restaurant Week, you can still take advantage of some great deals on delicious meals. The 4th annual Black Restaurant Week starts today. This year, the week has extra meaning for Black business owners after 2 Black-owned businesses closed on Willie Street alone this spring. In total, 7 restaurants, 9 food carts, and 3 dessert shops are participating. And chefs like this pair from The Anointed One are ready for some big crowds.
Very busy. We have a lot of people doing Black Restaurant Week, they flood the restaurant. We have people that actually sneaks in the restaurant when other people go out once we close the doors.
We're told that Sundays are the busiest during Restaurant Week, so you can take advantage of the deals all week long through next Sunday. Hope you don't get a brain freeze for this next story. The Henry Vilas Zoo and the Chocolate Shop are teaming up for this year's Create a Flavor Ice Cream Contest. You can submit your ideas on the Chocolate Shop's website or at Madison area stores through August 31st. Contest winners get a year's supply of ice cream plus a behind-the-scenes tour at the Vilas Zoo. If you've walked through the aisles of a grocery store lately, you've probably noticed the sunscreen and pool floats have been replaced by school supplies. It's that time of year again. Madison area students are just a few weeks away from the start of a new school year, and there are 3 things you can start doing today to set them up for success. According to the Children's Hospital of Wisconsin and Mission Healthy Kids, having a regular sleep schedule is the most important for growing kids. In the weeks leading up to a new school year, try moving up your child's bedtime by just a couple of minutes a day. Remember, children between the ages of 6 and 11 should get 10 to 11 hours of sleep every night, while teens should get at least 9. Now is also the time to get their nutrition on track, cut the cereal and breakfast bars, and swap them for nutritionally dense foods like eggs, fresh fruit, and milk. Finally, sit down with your kid today and plan. Talk in advance about grades, homework, reading time, and after-school activities. And the bottom line here, try to remember what life was like when you were back in their shoes. In Madison, the 100 Black Men of Madison organization is giving families in need all the physical essentials for the start of a successful school year. This weekend, the organization passed more than 1,500 backpacks filled with school supplies. Across the country, parents spend nearly $700 on school supplies each year, according to the National Retail Federation, and 60% of parents say it's hard to afford that. That's why it's the 100 Black Men of Madison's mission to help them.
A lot of these parents could probably not provide these brand new resources for their child. And so they're looking at this as a boost up, as a helping hand, as something that will help them at least tread water and move forward.
100 Black Men of Madison also provides free health screenings and haircuts, as well as the chance to register for reduced lunches. We pass a lot on to the next generation, including health risks, both physical and mental. Meet Daisha and Melissa Bischoff. This mother-daughter pair had a strained relationship for years, but have recently opened up about their similar struggles with suicide. Dr. Steve Garlow works in the psychiatric ward at UW Hospital and says, while we can be genetically predisposed to conditions like depression, anxiety, and schizophrenia, they say a diagnosis does not determine your destiny.
Right now, the treatments, the interventions are really more about behavior and treatment for mental illness. And understanding that no crisis, no moment in time that seems irreversible is actually irreversible. No problem is worth dying over.
Danica Lewis sat down with the Bischoff women to talk about living life after wanting death. It's a story you'll only see on News 3 Now, ahead in our 7 o'clock hour. Milwaukee Brewers pitcher Adrian Hauser might just take the nausea he had on the mound last night again if it leads to the same success. We'll spare you the video, but he threw up behind the mound after committing an error. Anyways, he was fine after that, and here's a video we can show you. The third inning, Brewers up 1-0. Keston Hiura hits homer, number 14 of his rookie career, a solo shot to left center to make it 2-0 Brewers. Later in the fourth, Mike Moustakas sends one to right, scoring newbie Trent Grisham. 3-0 Brew Crew, and the team hangs on to win 3-2. They'll go for the series sweep at 1:10 this afternoon. And the Cubs lost last night too, so that gap is now smaller, with the Brewers just a game and a half behind the Cubs in the NL Central. And looking ahead, the Packers are hoping to keep their winning streak alive in their second preseason game of the year later this week. Last Thursday, they toppled the Texans in Matt LaFleur's first outing as head coach, but that was without standouts like Aaron Rodgers for the Packers and J.J. Watt for the Texans. The Packers ended up winning by 2, and they'll be looking for victory number 2 this Thursday in Baltimore. The next game is scheduled for 6:30. Time now, 6:42. No football weather in our forecast, but there are some chances for rain and an alert day, too. Here's a live look outside on this rainy Sunday morning. Chris has your full first alert forecast. That's next.
Well, we had rounds of showers and thunderstorms come through overnight, and so now we are waking up to a gray and damp picture as we begin to look outside. This is our station camera, almost a little hazy and foggy up there, but high pressure has moved away, so now we've had a low pressure system come through. That's what brought the shower and thunderstorm activity overnight tonight, and some of that shower and thunderstorm activity is still around, especially as you work your way towards the southern tier of the area. You get towards Madison, we're still seeing a lot of showers, really not just Madison, but throughout Dane County. You work your way over towards Lake Mills, there's some shower and thunderstorm activity. We go down towards Elkhorn through Janesville and then back towards Monroe. Just about everyone is seeing kind of a steady rain in those areas. Outside of that, it's the drizzle and the cloud cover still lingering. Temperatures are into the mid-60s, so we're mild. That's thanks to cloud cover overnight that kept us on the warmer side. Boscobel at 67 right now, Viroqua at 64, Monroe also at 64, Madison sitting at 66. Notice those winds, though, coming out of the south at 11 miles per hour. That's a warm wind, and that's what I do think is going to help us see those temperatures in the upper 70s and close to 80 as we go throughout the afternoon. But, yep, the dew points are into the low 60s, so it's just a little humid for us as well. Let's time out the showers. Here they are as they begin to try to move on out. This is lunchtime. A strong, steady south wind will stick around. Temperatures will be in the mid-70s, and notice still some lingering showers will be into the picture. But the clouds try to begin to thin out, and that's what I think is also going to help us see those temperatures right around 80 for your highs. Overnight tonight, a lot of that cloud cover is going to stick around, but what we're truthfully watching is an axis of heavy rain that's going to work somewhere through southern Wisconsin as we go through Monday night. And I think the question is simply, where will this axis of heavy rain set up? Some of the models are a bit further north with that axis of heavy rain, but generally, I'm thinking southern Wisconsin will have the best threat at seeing some heavy rainfall tomorrow before things begin to pull on out. But here's future track. Notice how you could see anywhere from upwards of 1 inch to 2, maybe even 3 inches or more of rainfall. Future track among all the models has been very consistent and just showing some areas where heavy rain just sets up. So we're going to have to watch for a localized flash flooding threat as we head into tomorrow. In fact, we're still under that slight risk of excessive rainfall as we go through Monday, and that is why we have decided to make Monday an alert day. I think in general, most folks are going to see 1 to 2 inches of rain, but still, it could be higher depending on where you are. So an alert day for Monday will start to clear things out as we get you towards Tuesday, especially Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday and Thursday, by far the pick days of the forecast. We're looking at some sunshine for now and temperatures that are going to be into the mid, perhaps upper 70s, and then we'll see another rain chance by early next weekend.
Okay, not too bad.
Not too bad.
You just have to get through tomorrow.
No, yeah, tomorrow's definitely the day to watch and be prepared for.
I don't know about you, but I'd still take that over the snow.
Okay.
Okay.
I was like, well, we can live with that. It's summer.
See you later, Chris.
Sounds good.
Well, most kids in America grow up playing with Legos. I don't know if you did, Chris. And now the iconic toy is being used to help blind children read. Lego has introduced their new Braille bricks. The studs are rearranged to represent letters, numbers, and symbols, the building blocks of language. Learning Braille takes time and a dedicated teacher who knows it, which is not common. The Lego company hopes its new bricks will help bridge that gap.
There is a direct link between Braille literacy and likelihood of getting a job.
The National Federation for the Blind says there is a crisis in America when it comes to Braille literacy. More than 1 million people in the country are legally blind, but fewer than 1% can read Braille. Unemployment among blind adults is more than 70%, and nearly 90% of American kids are not learning Braille. But first, if you've ever wondered what it's like to work in the halls of Congress, it's a dream for many students who hope to secure an internship there. Not only are those internships hard to come by, most of them don't pay anything. Next, we'll hear from a group working to change that as we head to Washington. On News 3 Now this morning, Sunday. Welcome back. One of the biggest divisions happening in Congress is the hardest to see. Who can afford to work there as an intern? Congress is not required to pay its interns, and most members do not. But we found one innovative nonprofit that connects low-income students with congressional internships that some thought they could never afford. Nancy Cordes reports from Capitol Hill.
Each year, 8,000 interns come to Congress. But for some, Capitol Hill can be a tough climb.
I come from a town of 380 people, single mom, grew up in a trailer.
Texas native Audrey Henson had to take on a $6,500 loan and 2 jobs just to afford her unpaid internship here 7 years ago.
Not only are you being asked to front the bill for housing, which can be between $1,500 and $2,000 a month, then you have to pay for your food every day.
This is pretty essential.
That experience led her to create College to Congress, a nonprofit that gives low-income students the money and training to succeed here.
Do you have any idea who I am?
You said your name was Melissa.
Melinda Gates, sir.
More than 1,000 students applied this year for 18 grants.
First, I was like, this is probably too good to be true.
Ryan Schieser went back to college in Ohio after a career in the Navy and has a 7-year-old son. Marissa Reyes from Washington State is the daughter of Mexican immigrants.
One of my earliest memories was working in agricultural fields with my parents over the summers.
College to Congress spends $26,000 on each intern to cover flights, housing, and food.
$26,000 for the summer, that's a game changer.
Absolutely.
Completely.
That's a good income from where I come from.
This is an everyday DC shirt.
The money also helps them build a professional wardrobe.
You know, you have to get like the white standard shirt.
Think about how much a suit is, and you can't just buy one. You're working 5 days a week.
Another obstacle wealthier interns don't face.
I had a mental breakdown in like a JCPenney's in the sock aisle because there was like 15 types of socks and I didn't know which one to get.
I remember that.
Yeah, I needed a minute.
Did you own a tie?
I did own a tie, but like 2.
The program is now in its 3rd year with backing from big names like Toyota, Facebook, and Google. South Carolina Republican Tim Scott was an early champion.
Growing up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty, the one thing you did a lot of was work.
So working for free is just something that never would have been an option for you.
No, and I think it isn't for the average kid in this country.
Senator Scott pays his interns, but most in Congress don't.
What we've learned is that by having a cross-section of all of America employed here, I serve, hopefully, all of America better.
Ryan Schieser says interning for a Senate subcommittee is already opening doors he never knew existed.
This is insane. I'm just meeting people and they're like, do you want a job? Networking's huge.
So you can already see how this experience might change your whole job trajectory.
Absolutely, yes.
Marissa Reyes is making contacts too, interning for Democratic leader Chuck Schumer.
It's funny because everyone's like, want to get coffee, and I'm like, wow, you guys really like coffee.
87% of College to Congress alumni have stayed in public service.
There is a generation that is hungry to be a part of the difference, who isn't desensitized like a lot of other Americans are, but who really do see an opportunity to fix this.
What's your ultimate goal?
I just want Congress to look like America. I want the American people to be heard.
What a neat program. Well, there's a full hour of news ahead on News 3 Now this morning. Sunday, next we're running through the morning's top stories. But first, here's a preview of what's to come on an all-new For the Record.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Neil Heinen. Today on For the Record, we'll be talking about long-term recovery from substance use disorders and look ahead to the 10th annual Voices of Recovery Luncheon. It is a program of hope and health, and my guests are Connections Counseling and Recovery Foundation founder and director Shelley Dutch, President of the Recovery Foundation Board Sean Grover, and Mentor and Recovery Foundation recipient Chandler Brown. That's coming up this morning at 10:30 on News 3 Now.
Right now, an important emotional conversation and a News 3 Now exclusive. After going down similar paths, a local mom and her daughter open up about their suicide attempts, what life is like for them after contemplating death.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning. It's Sunday, August 11th. I'm Christina Laurie. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second. But first, here are 3 things to know to get your day started. Funeral masses will continue both today and tomorrow for the victims of the Dayton and El Paso shootings, which now happened 1 week ago. In all, 9 people were killed in the Dayton shooting, only hours after another gunman killed 22 people inside a Walmart in El Paso. This weekend, many politicians are speaking out about gun reform. A recent CBS News Battleground Tracker poll shows more than half of Iowa's Democratic voters say they must hear a candidate's position on gun control policy before deciding who they will support in the next election. Back in Madison, police are still searching for the armed man who shot a bullet into a Madison home early Sunday morning. Several neighbors called local police just after 4 a.m. to report hearing shots fired around Northport Drive and Morrow Court. Officers say they talked to a 19-year-old woman in the 500 block of Northport Drive who said the bullet ended up lodged inside her bathroom closet. Police also found shell casings outside her home. Earlier this week, a woman was grazed by a bullet while sitting inside her apartment, also on Madison's north side. And if you missed last month's Summer Restaurant Week, you can still take advantage of some great deals on delicious meals. The 4th annual Black Restaurant Week starts today. This year, the week has extra meaning for Black business owners after 2 Black-owned businesses closed on Willie Street earlier this spring. In total, 7 restaurants, 9 food carts, and 3 dessert shops are all participating. We're told that Sundays are the busiest during Restaurant Week, so you can take advantage of the deals all week long through next Sunday. And now let's toss it over to Chris for a check of our first alert forecast. Hi, Chris.
Good morning, Christina. Good morning to all of you guys. Of course, we had some rumbles of thunder as we went through the overnight hours, and here's that complex of showers and thunderstorms that developed up north and then pushed on towards the south and east as we moved through the overnight time. And here is where we still see some of the shower activity right now. It's starting to come to an end, but we still have some showers throughout the west side of Madison, down south as well, and then over on the east side, and then some additional showers as you work your way towards Janesville and over towards Elkhorn. This is what we've seen, though, as we've gone through the past couple of hours, and we will likely see a similar theme as we go through the next couple of hours. So perhaps there will be some areas of lingering shower activity into the afternoon, though. Meanwhile, temperatures are well into the 60s. 66 is our temperature in Madison, Lone Rock at 65, Black River Falls at 64 right now, and all of us will continue to watch those temperatures warm up as we go through the day. The winds are coming out of the south and southeast at 8 miles per hour. That's going to help bring in some of that warmer air later on this afternoon. It's going to be staying humid as well with those dew points into the 60s. But plan your day with some chances for showers. We'll be at 74 by lunchtime. I think we'll see some clearing later on this afternoon with highs right around 80. Christina?
Thank you, Chris. The DNA we get from our parents can predispose us to lots of health risks, both physical and mental. But a mother-daughter pair is proving that how we're hardwired doesn't determine our destiny. Our Danica Lewis shares their story in a story you'll only see here on News 3 Now.
I think for the longest time it was me versus her, and now it's me and her versus everything else.
Almost every daughter has heard it before.
You're just like your mom. You're acting like your mom.
And for a long time, Daisha Bishop didn't realize just how true that was.
Universe, karma, something has a purpose for me. And it might be rough sometimes, but there's got to be some sort of light at the end of the tunnel for me.
That light didn't always shine so brightly, even at a really young age.
Took half of a bottle of ibuprofen and half of a bottle of Tylenol and sat in the bathtub with a knife.
Her great-grandmother had just died after a battle with brain cancer. Daisha thought the only person to ever love her was gone.
At 11 years old, it's painful to try and stab a knife through your stomach.
11 years old. Years of attempts led to May 10th, 2016. Daisha was punished and not allowed to audition for a summer musical.
This is it. You know, this is the last straw. I can't do this anymore.
That night, she drank an entire liter of vodka in just 15 minutes.
And I was screaming,
just let me die. I don't want to live anymore.
Melissa Bischoff rushed to the hospital, as moms do.
I have to fix it. I have to go and I have to be beside her until she is better, until I make sure she's safe. And she really is a miracle.
And she would know.
I assumed I would never wake up.
After losing her mom to suicide as a teenager, Melissa tried to kill herself too.
I think some of it is hard to admit to someone who you love so much. I don't want my daughters to know that I'm flawed in a way that makes it difficult for me to be happy and to be a quote-unquote normal mom.
There's a very strong inheritable genetic component to suicide risk.
Dr. Stephen Garlow with UW Health says while those risk factors can be passed down,
There is no absolute, oh, you have this gene, this is going to happen to you.
Dr. Garlow would rather see parents be open about the issue before kids get the information from friends, the internet, or other less reliable sources.
So genetics is not destiny. So that there's a risk in your family, understanding that and using that as a way of taking some intervention, taking some preemptive steps.
I'm the one to break the cycle that's going to go on and just change this for our family, just because, you know, we've all suffered, and it's got to end.
Now Daisha and Melissa choose to be in each other's lives because they're both, well, living with someone who truly understands.
Clearly there's something in my future that's going to be something great. And whether that's great for just one person or great for a million, you know, at least I can say I've lived a happy life.
Danica Lewis, News 3 Now.
Thank you to those brave women for sharing their stories. Dr. Garlow also encourages parents to be direct when talking with their kids about mental health rather than using any euphemisms. He says being honest with them makes it more likely they'll be honest with you if they're ever struggling. And if you or someone you know is thinking about hurting themselves, please reach out for help either to us or to someone that you trust. Well, the time now is 7:07. Here's a live look outside this morning. Chris is tracking some more shower chances heading into the work week and a possible alert day, too. He'll have your first forecast next.
Well, happy Sunday, folks. An umbrella is something that you will need as we go through the forecast, perhaps at times today, and then especially as we go into Monday afternoon and evening. I'm out on the patio. We've got some light rain and drizzle coming out right now, and that's probably going to be the theme for a lot of folks as we go throughout the day. You're looking live from our station camera. A regional low pressure has brought the shower and thunderstorm activity overnight, and that will linger as we go through today, but also notice the region of low pressure down near Kansas. That is what we are watching for, a heavy rain threat into tomorrow. We'll touch more on that in just a second. First, let's focus on what's going on out there right now. Still some lingering showers and thunderstorms, mainly through the southern tier of the area. A lot of that now moving into northern Illinois as we speak. But still, as you work your way south of Madison over towards Janesville, then you work your way over towards the east, places like Waukesha, over towards, say, Lake Geneva. That's where we're still seeing some shower and thunderstorm activity as we speak. In the meantime, temperatures are comfortable. A lot of folks are into the mid and upper 60s, even some low 70s showing up as you work your way a little bit closer towards the lakeshore. Madison at 66 right now. Those winds out of the south and southeast at 8 miles per hour. And folks, it's that southerly wind. It's going to help those temperatures trend just a little bit warmer as we go through the afternoon. I do suspect highs will top out right around 80 degrees later on today, but we'll see some isolated instances, some showers just sticking around going throughout the afternoon as well. But outside of the showers, especially once we get later on into the day, I do think some sunshine may try to peek through the cloud cover, but still the clouds are really going to dominate the story. Into Monday, especially into the afternoon, we're going to watch some showers and thunderstorms arrive into the area. And the question is how far north or south that axis of heavy rain will be. You just saw the RPM well to the south. Meanwhile, the European is much further towards the north, impacting southern Wisconsin, and it's possible that some areas could see multiple inches of rainfall. I think in general, most folks will see 1 to 2 inches of rain, but perhaps some locally higher amounts will be felt depending on where you are. So that is why tomorrow we do have a slight risk of excessive rainfall really throughout southern Wisconsin and all throughout parts of the Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and upper Midwest. And that's also why tomorrow is an alert day for us, just because we're going to be watching that chance for some showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon to bring perhaps 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, if not even more. But once we get through that rain chance on Monday, things get better for us. We'll see a slight chance for some showers and thunderstorms on Tuesday, and then we dry out. Wednesday and Thursday are looking fantastic with temperatures into the 70s, some mid-80s on Friday, and then more rain chances do return as we get you towards next weekend. Notice by next weekend, those temperatures are still going to be running well above average. Our average temperature at this time of the year is 79. So we're staying on a warm note, which is a good reminder that it is, after all, still August.
It is.
Yeah.
And at least this afternoon will dry out in case people want to eat dinner outside.
Yeah, I think if you want to plan for some outdoor activities, you'll have some time this afternoon to do so.
Thanks so much, Chris.
My pleasure.
Well, here's an outdoor activity you might want to plan for. Today is your last chance to see fields of sunflowers as far as the eye can see. Eustace Farm in Stoughton is hosting its Sunflower Days this weekend from 10 until 5. You can check out more than 20 acres and 32 different varieties of sunflowers. The petting zoo will also be open during those hours, and it costs $7 to get in. Looking ahead, 2 weeks from now, the streets of Madison will be much more colorful. A reminder that now is your chance to sign up for the city's Color Run. This is the 4th year for the event, dubbed the happiest 5K on the planet. New features like double color zones will make sure you look especially like a rainbow by the time you cross the finish line. The 5K is on Saturday, August 24th over at the Alliant Energy Center. Prices increase as we get closer to that date, so sign up soon if you're interested. The goals of preseason football vary from team to team, but across the board, everyone wants to avoid injury before the real deal starts. Unfortunately, the Packers lost linebacker Oren Burks this weekend in practice. He reportedly tore a pectoral muscle, according to ESPN. He'll have more tests to figure out just how bad that injury is. But he is expected to miss a significant chunk of time. Burks was drafted in the 3rd round last year and is a starter. Meanwhile, Aaron Jones is back at practice. Good news. After missing more than a week thanks to a hamstring injury. And for a guy that missed 4 games last season because of a knee injury, he is thrilled to be back out on that field.
I mean, I wanted to be out there every day, but I mean, it's a long season, so I mean, I appreciate it. Appreciate the rest. And as a running back, you take a lot of pounding, so I mean, I'm not against those.
It wasn't an injury for Milwaukee Brewers pitcher Adrian Hauser that caught fans' attention yesterday, but a stomach bug maybe? We'll spare you the video, but he threw it behind the mound after committing an error. Anyways, he was fine after that, and here's the video we can show you. The third inning, Brewers up 1-0. Keston Hiura hits homer number 14 of his rookie career, a solo shot to left center to make it 2-0 Brewers. Later in the fourth, Mike Moustakas sends one to right, scoring newbie Trent Grisham. 3-0 Brewers, and the team hangs on to win 3-2. They'll go for the series sweep at 1:10 this afternoon. And the Cubs lost last night, so now that gap is smaller with the Brewers just a game and a half behind them in the NL Central. Well, time now, 7:16. Imagine spending more than 20 years in prison for a crime you didn't commit. That's the premise of a local author's newest novel, based on a chilling and thrilling true story. Chris Jossert is here to talk about Railroaded, Framed for Murder, Fighting for Justice. That's next on News 3 Now This Morning, Sunday. Welcome back. Wisconsin's very own Chris Jossert has a track record of delivering powerful messages at the podium and on paper. This Green Bay native's newest true crime book, called Railroaded, Framed for Murder, Fighting for Justice, chronicles the true story of Sam Summer, a man who spent 21 years in prison for a murder he says he didn't commit. Chris joins us this morning to talk about what led him to write that book. Thank you so much for driving in.
Yes, no
You're
problem.
from all the way up north now in Appleton.
Yes, thank you for having me this morning. It's an incredible story. It's tragic as well. So here was a 31-year-old man in 1968 in New York who was one of the leading innovators for food service for that whole industry in the Big Apple. He actually opened the first delicatessen on Long Island, employed a lot of immigrants. He was a good man, takes a summer vacation in Florida, and in early summer he comes back to learn that his business partner, who's a relative, who was overseeing his business while he was gone, lent some of his money to what turned out to be a convicted felon and an informant for the police. And that person paid his business partner back with a bounced check. And so long story short, that bounced check got reported to police, and within 2 days, that person was murdered. In less than a week, they pinned that murder on Mr. Summer. And what was really tragic about the whole situation for his arrest is that there was never a grand jury indictment for his murder. The grand jury dismissed his indictment, so the police kidnapped him in Suffolk County, which is one of two main counties out in Long Island, and they beat him up with phone books and alleged a false confession out of Mr. Summer for this crime. And it was just on record now, we're looking at this as the longest running fight for exoneration in America, A, 51 years, and B, someone sent to prison without a grand jury indictment. He finds the paperwork for this indictment being tossed out in 2015. So he was released in 91, but he's never been lifted of this injustice off of his shoulders, but he finds this paperwork in a police archives, far eastern part of Long Island, in 2015, because the Freedom of Information Act finally gave him permission to go scour through his paperwork, and he finds a document that was signed a month after he was sent to prison that said grand jury indictment dismissed.
Wow. So
Yeah.
how did you get involved?
Well, real quickly, I serve as the media person for Fox Valley Technical College up in
Okay.
Appleton, and we have a really beautiful public safety training center. It's renowned around the country. It's 80 acres. We train people from all over the world, actually, there. They hosted a Crime Writers Academy, and there was a best-selling crime author who happened to give a speech there, and I got a call from New York City from her publicist who was releasing a book. Next thing you know, during the thank you process of doing some media attention for that author, was hooked up with someone in New York City who worked for this publicist, great-granddaughter of the gentleman who wanted his story told.
Okay.
And that's how I got connected. It was all during the thank you process of this whole Crime Writers Academy. So I've always loved to write, and I jumped right in. My wife and I got to know him over the phone. We both said, let's just wait a year. Let's get to know him as a person first before casting any judgment on what happened. But it's been quite a ride. Another thing that just recently happened is, in looking through all the documents from what he found that were covered up for many years, he received a check in prison in 1979 for a settlement from Suffolk County that basically admitted they had wrongdoing in their arrest of him. And it was tied back to an appeal that he had won based on no Miranda rights read to him, being beaten up by the police. And all of that was just kind of a wink, wink, look the other way for so many years. But now we have some help out in Long Island from an attorney, pro bono, who's going to give Mr. Summer one last shot to get his name cleared.
So after all of these clues and getting to know him as a person, that's how you got involved. And we're almost out of time here, so I just want to quickly plug where people can find your book if they want to pick it up.
wildbluepress.com.
Okay.
/railroaded. wildbluepress.com/railroaded. That's also available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Okay, and we'll put those links up on our website.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming to talk to
Thank
us.
you for
Such
the
an interesting story, and a Wisconsin native. It's always
Thank you for
nice
the
to support
opportunity.
people in our own community. Well, there's a half hour of news still ahead here on News 3 Now this morning. Sunday next, we're running through the morning's top stories, and then we are heading to Willie Street for a stomach rumbling experience at La Kitchenette. Find out what makes the eatery, which you've probably driven past dozens of times, so unique. We'll be right back.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning. It's August 11th. I'm Christina Laurie. We'll get a check on weather with Chris in just a second, but first, here are 3 things to know as you start your day. Police are investigating after a man with a knife in his backpack threatened to kill a Madison gas and electric worker. Chief Mike Koval says MG&E workers at North Baldwin Street and East Johnson were called after 2 o'clock Saturday morning to a report of a drunken 26-year-old man. They said the man threatened to kill one of the workers. Police found a knife in the man's backpack while searching him and arrested him on suspicion of disorderly conduct and carrying a concealed knife. The Brewers are going for a sweep against the Rangers after another win overnight. The team is now just a game and a half behind the Cubs in the NL Central, who lost overnight. Saturday's win was thanks to Keston Hiura's homer in the 3rd, Mike Moustakas' hit in the 4th, and Trent Grisham, who scored on that play. The team won 3-2. They'll go for that series sweep at 1:10 this afternoon. And 2 weeks from now, the streets of Madison will be much more colorful. This is a reminder that now is your chance to sign up for the city's Color Run. This is the 4th year for the event, dubbed the happiest 5K on the planet. New features like double color zones will make sure you look especially like a rainbow by the time you cross that finish line. The 5K is on Saturday, August 24th at the Alliant Energy Center. And Chris isn't tracking the forecast through then right now, but he'll let us know what we can expect heading into the week.
Yeah, that's right. What we're watching right now are some showers of thunderstorms that came through overnight last night. And folks, those were some efficient rainmakers. In fact, radar estimates of perhaps 2 to 3 inches showed up as you worked your way from parts of southern Sauk County through southwestern Dane County. A lot of the shower activity now starting to move on away from us. That's what we've been seeing over the past couple of hours. Still some drizzle sticking around, and I think we'll see some drizzle to isolated showers as we go into the early afternoon. Also, meanwhile, winds coming out of the south and southeast, those are keeping those temperatures well into the 60s. Watertown at 66 right now. Then you work your way over towards Milwaukee. That's where the temperature is at 72. But all of us are seeing those temperatures that are somewhat mild. Madison at 66. The dew points are into the low 60s as well. And we're going to keep those dew points hovering about where they are as we go through today. So it's going to feel humid even after we begin to dry things out. I think we'll keep the shower chances at least around through noon. Outside of that, it's at least going to be cloudy. We'll start to see some peaks of sunshine after the noontime hour, though, perhaps drying out near 4 o'clock with those highs near 80. But by early next week, we're watching a heavy rain chance that'll come in to the picture tomorrow. Because of that, there is a slight risk of excessive rainfall throughout the upper Midwest. We're going to time out when we could see that, along with how much rain is possible coming up in Maine weather. Christina.
Thanks, Chris. New this morning, funeral masses will continue both today and tomorrow for the victims of the Dayton shooting, which happened 1 week ago. In all, 9 people were killed in the Dayton shooting only hours after another gunman killed 22 people in El Paso, Texas. Saturday afternoon, friends, family, and strangers gathered to honor Derek Fudge, the oldest of the 9 victims in Dayton. Derek was 57 years old when he died in the arms of his son after a gunman started shooting outside a downtown bar. Now his sister wants to make sure people remember him for everything he was.
Make no mistake about it. We came in here to celebrate his life. Hallelujah. He did not live a very complicated life. He lived a simple life, but he loved the life that he lived.
The man who killed Derek and 8 others was killed by police less than 30 seconds after he started shooting. Meanwhile, in Mexico, masses are being dedicated this weekend in honor of the 6 Mexicans killed in the El Paso shooting after a gunman opened fire at a Walmart store last Saturday, killing 22 people in total. People from the town of Ciudad Juarez, just across the border, pledged to remain united and strong and prayed to act even more in favor of unity, respect, coexistence, and mutual acceptance. The El Paso gunman surrendered to police after confessing he was targeting Mexicans in that shooting. More than 1,100 miles away from El Paso, more than a dozen presidential hopefuls who are spending the weekend in Iowa are calling for changes to the country's gun laws in the wake of last weekend's shootings. Democratic candidates mostly agree there's a need for universal background checks and an assault weapons ban. A recent CBS News Battleground Tracker poll shows more than half of Iowa's Democratic voters say they must hear a candidate's position on gun control policy before deciding who they'll support.
Background checks, no mental illness. I mean, come on.
That's not a big ask at all, and I completely support that.
I'd like to keep my shotgun. On the other hand, the AK-47s and the AR-15s, I don't think it's a place for them in America.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate will consider new gun control laws when Congress reconvenes this September. President Donald Trump says he wants Congress to pass background checks. Well, it's time now, 7:33. When you step inside La Kitchenette's front door on Willie Street, you're transported to a cafe in Paris. And that's exactly what the eatery is aiming for. The Parisian native is happy to give Madison a taste of her hometown. And our Andrea Bailing is getting a sample, too, in this month's Tastemaker.
We are here with Virginie of La Kitchenette. Thank you so much for having us in today.
Thank you for coming.
First, I want to talk about what we have on the table here. We got a lot of good goodies here. Can you tell me what we have?
Yeah, so we can start first with the French onion soup. So it's, you know, a very popular dish. So the onion soup is made with different type of onions that are caramelized, and then they're cooking white wine, cognac too. And we top them with house-made croutons that we make from Madison sourdough meat.
Oh, cool! Just right down the road.
Yeah, so that makes them like super crispy, and we top that, rebroil that with Swiss cheese.
What do we have here?
And then here we have another very French traditional dish that is the bœuf bourguignon, meaning beef burgundy. So we call it beef bourguignon because the beef is marinated in burgundy wine. Yeah, so it's marinated for at least 24 hours, and we braise it for like 2 days. First, like 4 hours, and then 3 hours the next day. And we flavor the dish with some carrots, onions, mushroom, and then some bacon from WISC.
Oh, cool. Yep. These over here, they're beautiful. What
are
so
these? Those are œuf mimosa. So œuf mimosa means deviled eggs.
Deviled eggs.
So yeah, deviled eggs. So this is not the very traditional deviled eggs.
No.
I added some Asian influence. Yeah, of course.
You added Asian influence?
Yeah, Asian influence. So you have the egg that is marinated in soy. And and then you have sesame, mayonnaise that is topped with green onions, pickled red onions, and some crispy rice that makes a very nice texture, crispy and soft. And I think it's it gives a real explosion of flavors in the mouth and a very long aftertaste.
Yeah,
that's why I really like.
Nice umami flavor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah.
And what is this beauty over here?
And this is the green toast. So it's our brunch now best seller. So it's a vegetarian dish, but you can top it with prosciutto or smoked salmon, like it is here. Yeah. So it's a savory French toast.
Oh.
Kind of.
I've never had a savory French toast before.
So we use Madison sourdough brioche, and we dip the bread in green onion, spinach batter, and we add some lime chili mayonnaise and a fried egg.
Oh, wow.
It's very delicious.
You grew up in Paris, is that right?
Yeah, I grew up in Paris.
What was that like?
So I really liked the fact that it's a frantic city, so it's always moving. You know, you have always new restaurants opening from all around. You know, from different cuisine, and you have so much things to do in art and music. So it's like lots of inspiration going around. Yeah. But you know, it's a big city, but you can always find some very hidden and cozy spots. So that's why I love,
This place just feels like a little slice of Paris when you walk in here.
Yeah, it's super cozy, intimate, and like a second home. So that's really what I wanted to, that feeling I wanted to give is you enter, once you get in, it's like you feel comforted, like the food we want to offer too.
Yes. Well, this is such a cute place on Willie Street here. Thank you for having us in.
Thank you.
Time now, 7:37, from behind the scenes to front and center. We'll introduce you to the man instrumental in organizing Madison's music scene for decades, now making a name for himself. News 3 Now This Morning Sunday. We'll be right back. If you love Madison's music scene, you probably have Michael Alexander to thank. For more than 20 years, he's kept busy booking bands for local venues, as well as the world's largest Bratfest. Meanwhile, he's been developing his own sound. Photojournalist Chris Hawbaker caught up with him and fellow Southern rocker Rick Monroe at a recent show in Monona. Sit back and enjoy this month's Morning Notes.
This is 4 a.m. and I'm drunk again and wait for your call. Call instead. What a horrible idea. I wish you would have gone to bed. I'm Michael Alexander. This is Rick Monroe. This is Crowbar Incorporated.
I play music because I have to. The best way to describe it is like a poison or an addiction. And we are playing at the Breakwater in Monona.
Yeah, it feels like we're literally out on a boat. The water's over here. It's a good time. The weather's perfect right now. This is one of those awesome Wisconsin days. I'm from Florida. I live in Nashville. Michael Alexander and I, we've been doing this thing for almost 7 or 8 years now. At one time, it was like how we were making money for both of us. And then we've kind of gone off and had our own careers. It's like a writer's round almost. And then once we get into covers, it depends on where it goes and what the crowd's like.
I came out with 5 different records, 2 official Sand records when I was in Sand. Did the John Urban Show a couple of times. You know, we have fans from all over the country and fans as young as 10 years old and as old as 80.
I wanna live my life like I wanna be living, just live my life like it all my boy. I wanna live my life all today.
And you're not just a musician, you talk about what else you do. I'm the entertainment director for the world's largest Bratfest, which happens every Memorial Day weekend.
Michael has Bratfest every year, which is another one of my favorite events that we always do.
You know, we've raised over $2 million for local charities. I'm also the entertainment director for the Crystal Grand Music Theater in the Dells. I'm the president of AF Entertainment in South Carolina, and I have a festival called Operation Music Fest, which runs Labor Day weekend in Anderson, South Carolina, where we donate a portion of all of our money to veterans and to military servicemen and women.
So you can go back to work. The back can go back to work.
So there's moments where it's still, it's surreal, for sure. Yeah, where you pinch yourself. My 2 daughters keep me very grounded. So to me, it is a job, but there's more than that. There's something special about music. Music has a very special effect on people, and it's something that I never take for granted.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to photojournalist Christopher Hawbaker for putting that together. And it'll be a great night to sit outside and take in some music, but a change is headed our way. Chris Reese is timing out our Monday Alert Day storm chances next on News 3 Now This Morning Sunday. But first, let's take a look at who's 3 today. Happy birthday, Paige, and all the other little kids turning 3 today.
Some of the rainfall that's out there is starting to fade away. One of the things that we can actually see now on our station camera, you may not be able to see this at home, but way out in the distance, we can now see blue mounds. And so that is a sign that the air's starting to dry out just a little bit. But we still have this region of low pressure just back towards the west. That's what's been responsible for some of the shower and thunderstorm activity that we saw overnight and earlier on this morning. We're watching this one, though. This area of low pressure and the associated warm front is going to be perhaps a bigger rainmaker as we go into Monday and Monday afternoon and evening. It's already produced a lot of rainfall throughout Kansas and parts of Nebraska. Here's our light rain that came through overnight tonight. And again, a lot of that starting to fall apart as drier air works its way on in. I think we'll see some isolated showers as we go into the afternoon, mainly in the form of drizzle, but either way, it's probably going to stay at least somewhat cloudy for us. Temperatures, though, will be into the 60s and 70s. 66 right now in Madison. Boscobel is at 67. We still have a lot of the cloud cover out there, but I do think it will begin to break up as we go through time. With enough sunshine and with those winds out of the south and southeast at about 8 miles per hour, we might be able to crack 80 degrees. We're just going to watch that closely as we go into the afternoon. You still see that south wind. Notice the isolated showers around towards lunchtime, still into the peak heating of the day as well. But those highs should make it to right about 80 later on. Then we watch tomorrow. By the time we get you towards tomorrow afternoon, folks, we could see a system coming our way with some chances for some heavy rain. I think the question, though, is going to be how far north does that axis of heavy rain become? Now, I will say I do think Future Track is highly undercooked. The European probably has the better idea on how things are shaping out, but even still, we'll see that axis of heavy rain work through southern Wisconsin as we go through the afternoon and evening before we begin to clear out in the late night hours of Monday into Tuesday. Thankfully, the system is quick moving, but it could put down a lot of water in a short amount of time. Perhaps 1 to 2 inches will be what most folks will see, but I can't rule out some localized areas of perhaps 2 to 4 inches coming up at times. So with that, there's a slight risk for excessive rainfall. We also do have an alert day in the forecast for your Monday. We dry out by Tuesday, some sunshine Wednesday and Thursday, even into Friday. We'll be a bit warmer by the end of the next week with more rain chances by next weekend.
Thank you. I mean, you gave us at least some good days.
My pleasure. Yeah, I sprinkled a few good days in there. I talked to Mother Nature and tried to get more, and she said, no, I've given you enough, so you have to go through the rain now, and then we'll see what we can get later.
Thanks, Chris.
My pleasure.
Well, there's more news ahead all day long here on News 3 Now, and then tomorrow morning, the planning puzzle. What's behind a new study showing people are spending more time planning their vacations than their finances? But first, from drab to fab, what's behind the latest effort to transform old basketball courts into fabulous meeting places and how it's inspiring many kids to aim higher. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Basketball courts are often a gathering place for city kids, but many are in bad shape. That's inspired one hoop-loving man to start a nonprofit that changes blacktops from drab to fab.
And Jamie Yuka shows us how the transformations are also inspiring some kids to aim higher.
At the Rainbow Recreation Center in Oakland, the basketball court has become a giant canvas.
When I see a park in disrepair, it just makes me want to bring that space back to life. It's a little bit wet here. You can see like when the color's kind of different.
Dan Peterson is the visionary behind this vibrant transformation.
I love outdoor basketball in public parks.
His love of basketball began as a teen.
Danny from way downtown money. Ooh.
Fast forward to 2015, Peterson found himself on a badly neglected court and was inspired to repaint the free throw line.
It was something I felt it needed, and it's something I felt like I could do.
He realized instead of bringing people together, cracked, crumbling courts in urban neighborhoods are often seen as barriers that drive families away. So Peterson launched Project Backboard and reshaped 22 courts across the country into magical murals.
Playing on courts that look like this may cause you to think more creatively. That is one of the hopes, is that people come into this space and they start imagining what if.
Color's somewhat of a new thing for me. But
local artist Musée Cisse was inspired to design the Oakland court.
You see some parts over here that are more of a table element, but it also has this archway.
He says his abstract images represent home and a sense of community.
It's important, I think, to have this space they can take pride in, feel comfortable and safe there.
Does rainbow to you mean diversity?
Yeah, definitely.
An Oakland resident, Cisse knows these children worry about the violence on their streets. So having this beautiful place to play makes a powerful statement.
It's so impactful when you show these kids that they matter.
What did you think when you walked out here and you saw all the color?
It's amazing the way it came out. I was just like watching them from the swings. Like that's all I did for like 2 days straight. I wanted to join in and help.
To make it all possible, Project Backboard teams with sponsors like video game maker NBA 2K. The cost, around $50,000.
Being out there and physically playing the game is so important to kind of develop those skills that you need in life. You need to know how to cooperate with a team, be a leader. That's why we build these courts and why it's so important to us.
And the importance of play and teamwork seems to be a slam dunk at the Rainbow Recreation Center.
I used to be mean before I came here. I didn't really want to be a role model. But now, like, I'm nice to everyone. Everyone knows my name. They'll call me when they need help or something. Oh, my God.
A colorful change, giving a win to the community.
Woo!
Jamie Yuka, Oakland, California.
It's so powerful, just what a little pink can do.
A cool story there, being role models for the future. We're going to continue, speaking of the future, to watch a rain chance that's coming into the picture tomorrow. That could be a heavy rainmaker around here with perhaps 1 to 2 inches of rain, if not locally higher amounts, given that some localized flash flooding is possible. So we do have an alert day for Monday. Otherwise, as we go through the rest of today, we'll begin to dry out. I still can't rule out some shower chances through the afternoon. Look for highs right around 80. Pick day of the forecast, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday if that's what you like, if you like the heat. But we'll see some more rain chances coming back by next weekend. In the meantime, here is Miley and Lodi. Absolutely a beautiful pup there by 3 o'clock.
Where's
we'll
Hannah
see
Montana?
Those temperatures.
You think it has a sibling?
I don't know. Miley,
Maybe changes, alter identity?
She's
alter ego?
singing somewhere, I'm sure, on stage.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow morning.